Welcome to Drop and Give Me 20. This is the 2016 Holiday Mini Series. Listen as we share tips to help you finish out 2016 and plan for a successful 2017. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Drop and Give Me 20. I am your host, Lindsey Germono. Today I'm bringing you the first episode of a mini series as we finish out 2016 and plan our goals and our business ideas and all of the great things that we should be doing for 2017. So I've invited a very special guest, Katie Christy, of Activate Your Talent and Empower Military Spouses, to come with us and share a little bit more about what we should be working on as we end 2016 and start 2017 with a bang. So good morning, Katie.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So tell the listeners about yourself.
Yeah, very good. So I was born and raised in the coal country of Wyoming. From there, I graduated with honors in finance and married this military man and quickly changed my Wall Street dreams to living in northern New York. And so I kind of tried to grow where I was planted and started with a company that had one location and about 60 employees. And over 5 years of hard work and dedication, we grew the company to 3 locations and over 250 employees. So I got a really good experience into what small business is and kind of the grit and determination it takes to survive. When we PCS, I thought it was a great time to take advantage of the FINRA Fellow Program, and I got my accredited financial counselor certificate and dedicated the next 4 to 5 years of my life bankruptcy counseling for individuals who are in some tough financial straits. But it was, when we moved to West Point, that I started working for a small research and development center called the Center for the Advancement of Leader Development and Organizational Learning.
That's a lot.
It was, yes. The Army loves the acronyms, but that one is even a mouthful. So it was a great experience, not only to learn more about the Army world and Army culture, but really to get turned on to the importance of leader development and investing in who you are as a person. It's here that we first used the StrengthsFinder assessment, an online measure of an individual's opportunities for excellence, and just fell in love with what it could do for both individuals and organizations as a team. So when it was time to once again PCS and reinvent myself, I decided to take the leap of faith and get certified as a Gallup Certified Strengths Coach and start my own business where I could really help individuals and organizations leverage the StrengthsFinder assessment. And ever since then, I've been on the entrepreneurial journey, just loving every day of the hard work and the great times with clients and friends.
And so you have some tips that you want to share with us, as the listeners of this podcast are also military entrepreneurs like yourself, as we start working on our business plans for 2017. What type of actionable tips or guidance based on your training and your accreditations do you recommend?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so I really would love people to focus 2017 on developing a personal leadership philosophy. It's something that is core, and we understand that our business may need a mission statement, but this is kind of the same thing, but for yourself. And so a personal leadership philosophy states your unique strengths, the core values that you live by, what you expect of your people, what they can expect of you, and how you will evaluate performance. And so I'll refer to it as a personal leadership philosophy or PLP, but a properly crafted PLP will serve as kind of a filter to separate from what is important next year to what is not, and also help communicate a sense of intended direction to your entire organization and clients as well.
So where do we start? For those that are listening, they're like, okay, this personal leadership philosophy, yes, I'm down with it. I want to try it. Like what it seems sometimes when we are approached with strategy and planning that it can be overwhelming. But if you were to kind of give us here's the first step, second step, and third step, what would those look like?
Perfect. So I love some alliteration. So there are 3 steps. So it's going to be define, disseminate, and demonstrate. And so the first step, define. And this is, I think, one of the toughest steps because you kind of have to take everything out there and filter it down into who you are. So I want you to dive in and start looking at lists of core values, key traits, and where I would begin is with the StrengthsFinder assessment and your unique strengths.
And we're going to get that link, and I can share that out with the episode when it releases so that others can take that, correct?
Perfect. Yes. And I'll also include some lists to find some core values and key traits as well. So you have a whole plethora of information to choose from.
Okay.
And so once you kind of have all that in front of you, I want you to spend about 20 to 30 minutes each day over the series of 3 to 4 days reflecting on a few different prompts. And the first one would be, what are your core values and strengths? It's going to be hard because who doesn't want to be trustful or respectful? But is that more important than getting started? So you kind of have to look at that and be really particular about what it is. The second prompt is, what do you believe is necessary for success? And the third being, which traits do you want to call out in others? So these are just really good prompts to kind of spend that time reflecting. I would recommend journaling. But it's however works for you, whether that's pen and paper or on your phone. And once you do this, then spend the time the next day really self-editing. And from there, you want to remember that a good PLP is concise and easy to remember. And although it would be easy for us to write pages and pages of the things that are important to us, your team only really has a short paragraph to understand who you are. Once you have narrowed this down, then I really want you to take the next step forward, which is translating these into leadership principles that you'll model and want to call out in others.
Okay.
And so, for example, I think it might be helpful to kind of go down this. So one of your core values and strengths is trust. Then you can translate it into the following leadership principle. I will work to earn the trust and respect of those around me by empowering them to leverage their unique talents in order to do their jobs.
It's kind of like having a mission statement, but for yourself.
Yes, exactly. And so it's really distilling down all those things and bringing the bottom line up front, if you will.
And do you work with, like if it's a team environment, so I have, a team of people, do you work with them individually and as a whole, or is this really just tailored towards the individual?
Great question. So, of course, I'm going to say both. And so first, you're going to want to really work on who you are as an individual, because it starts before you can lead others, you have to lead yourself. So first, understand what that is. But if you are involved in an organization as a team, I think it's very important that you take the organization's mission and make sure it meshes and weaves into your own personal leadership philosophy. If they're going two different directions, then not only will you be confused, but those around you will be confused on what your priorities and mission is.
And I'm sure a lot of listeners have been in that space where they're like, okay, what do you want me to do? You've said one thing, now it's the other. So I think that's
exactly. So that's where it's really nice. And when after everyone's kind of come to the table with what they have, then to work to kind of align those with the overall leadership philosophy or mission statement of the organization.
Awesome. Okay. So we defined, now we go into disseminate.
Disseminate, yeah. So once you have your rough draft of your personal leadership philosophy, it's time to disseminate and distribute to those closest to you, who I call kind of your trusted agents. And this may be a bit frightening at first because you're really opening yourself up to be vulnerable and sharing the core of who you are and where you want to go. But this step is absolutely critical in having a successful leadership philosophy. This isn't meant to be written and locked away. This is something that you have to get out into the light of day to make it really worthwhile.
Okay.
And so go ahead and do that. But as you're sharing it, just don't email it out and hope for the best. Make sure you schedule a face-to-face time or conversation with your core team. And during this conversation, ask for their feedback and suggestions on how to improve it. But most importantly, be open to their suggestions because they should be the subject matter experts on your leadership style. But if they don't feel comfortable with you or you're not taking those suggestions, they won't share a whole lot, and then we won't get to the great PLP we know is under there.
So I'm in my third year in, and I'm thinking how this applies to me. And I think those that are listening, if you're a military entrepreneur, we often are focused on the startup, getting things going. And that's a space that we are all in. We all have been in at one point in time. But this space is really interesting when you start to have a team, employees, because you may not have developed that in your initial startup plans and your business plans, because you haven't thought of, okay, how's the team going to work together? How am I going to come across to my staff and my employees? So this is a really great time as you're planning 2017 to think about, how does this apply in my business? Should I be working on this? Which, obviously the answer is yes, because Katie will tell us. So we've disseminated that out. We've asked for feedback, and now, okay, we've gotten the feedback. So what's that last step that looks like for us under this philosophy?
Yeah, so I think you alluded to it a bit, and that's actually demonstrating it. So, and this should be the fun part. Your PLP, if it does not match up with your daily actions and behaviors and directives, it's completely worthless. No one's going to listen to it or you, and it's a waste of time. But conversely, a personal leadership philosophy that is congruent with who you are and how you do business is a powerful and essential tool. It really should be so who you are that it virtually oozes out of you in your actions every day. And as you're faced with a tough situation or a big goal for 2017, if you haven't put yourself through the lens of a PLP, it's going to be really hard to know which direction to go or how to approach that problem. But when you can take a second, run it back through your core values and your core strengths, I would think the solution would be a lot more accessible and clear.
We haven't talked about this, but as I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about what you're saying, it also helps with the growth and success of your company. If everybody's on the same page and you know that your team is solid, that you have a solid plan or philosophy, it can also help in the way that they treat the customers or clientele that are coming into your business, because you're not there, every touch of the way. You're more on the back end as you get your team assembled and your staff in line. So sharing this with them and coming up with a plan like this, to me, would be beneficial for the growth of your business too, because they're the ones touching the client base, the customers, and having that impact or that reaction with the folks that can grow your business.
Exactly. So it's super important as they're faced with those kind of daily decisions to know where you stand on action. So that's really what this is helpful for. And especially as military entrepreneurs are more than likely going to be in some sort of remote work situation, whether they're removed or their employees are removed or however you want to say that. But this is really your gold standard to run everything through, both client facing and internal facing. It kind of allows you to take one step back, because they already know how you're going to react and what solution you're going to choose based on this really clearly defined leadership philosophy.
Love it. All right. Tell us how I want to contact Katie. I need to get this together because I'm working on my 2017 business plans. How do we get in contact with you for more information and for your help with this?
Yes, that'd be great. And I would love to send out more information and even share a blog post with a little bit more of this written down, if that's easier, because I know we covered a lot of ground quickly. We were all about it. So my email is Katie, Katie, at activateyourtalent.com. You can also find us on social media with Activate Your Talent LLC on Facebook, and I'm sure you're going to send the links to all the other things. The same thing with Empower Military Spouses, our military-focused, strengths-based leadership company.
Yes, I will. I would definitely do that. So Katie Christy, thank you so much for coming on. For those that are listening, and we're working on closing out 2016, working on moving ahead into 2017. What I really love about Katie is her ability to not only share with us these awesome, tricks that we can apply today, but she's also a military spouse. She's known to, go through the struggles and everything that we all have in our businesses. So she can relate. Please reach out to her. Just search for Activate Your Talent. And yes, in the show notes and on social media, I will also be sharing out some of the really valuable tools that she's been able to apply and send out to us. So thank you so much, Katie. And I hope that you have a kick a 2017.
Yes, right back at you. I love the opportunity. I love this community. So anything we can do to raise the collective consciousness of the tribe is fantastic. So wish you all the best and can't wait to connect with you in 2017.
Great. Well, you have an awesome day. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks. You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Drop and Give Me 20, brought to you by Germono Advertising Company in Norfolk, Virginia. Please visit our podcast in iTunes, click on subscribe, and leave us a review. Your support goes a long way. When you subscribe and leave reviews, it helps the guests on our show as well. Jump in and let us know what you think. You can also follow all of our guests on the Drop and Give Me 20 Facebook page. We have Instagram and Twitter. Those handles are Give Me 20 Podcast. I'm your host, Lindsey Germono, and I appreciate you listening to the show.